We're reacting to Cosmos Art's newest video, the last thing to ever happen in the universe. I'm pretty sure the last things in the universe that people are suggesting is it self-devours itself. So it's just going to be an empty nothingness, right? It's going to be black holes, the only thing alive. But anyway, that's enough of the negativity. Maybe it's a positive video for a change. Maybe we'll get into it, and away we go.
The universe today is happy and healthy.
True.
But at
Kind
some
of.
point, the nights
No,
will
very-
turn dark. Everything
Yep.
that once was will peacefully sleep.
Space-time tours, all inclusive.
But what is the last thing that will ever happen, and when will it be? It turns
Black
out
hole,
there is
surely?
such a thing, and you probably haven't heard about it.
Oh,
Let's
I
travel to
beg
the
to
end of
differ.
the universe.
You've told me many
Look
things.
at the last thing.
The
After a
last
messy birth,
thing.
Our universe was a sleepy baby, warm
Yep.
and dark, filled with swirling clouds of hot hydrogen and helium. The story of creation is a story of this gas and where it will end up. Shortly after, the universe got busy making the first generation of stars. They
Okay.
were massive and lived violent lives, forging new elements, only to release most of them when they blew up. Countless stars were born and refined the gas available in the universe, cycling matter around, each generation giving most of its gas and fresh elements to the next. But not all gas is returned. Every time a new generation of stars forms, they also make more and more red dwarfs that burn slowly and live for trillions of years. When they die, they don't give their gas back to the universe, but turn it into white dwarfs. So red dwarfs lock up more gas forever. Some more gas is locked forever in other remains of dead stars, neutron stars and black holes, which is bad as it reduces the material available for new stars. Today, the universe is a great home for us and will remain so for billions of years. But most of the gas has been used up or trapped. Over 90% of the stars that will ever be born have been born already. To get
Okay. So they're basically saying, like, say for example, it's a stamina meter, right? Or a magicka meter in a game. But there's no regeneration of magicka or stamina. But how do they know this, right? Like they're surmising, right? Maybe at the end when your stamina bar or magicka bar gets right to the end, another big bang could happen, surely, right? Because we don't know what happened. Like, so Big Bang's the biggest theory. So what created that Big Bang in the first place, right? Could there not be a secondary Big Bang after we're all gone and everything's like cooled down? Is that not possible? I just the questions I'm asking the viewers. They could like spread their knowledge to me.
to the last thing to ever happen, all other things need to happen first.
Hmm.
The next few 100 billion years will be fun and a great time for galactic exploration.
Okay.
But, step by step, large stars and stars like our Sun will die out. Eventually, almost all the stars will be red dwarfs slowly dying.
Yeah.
The end of everything. But not quite.
Not quite.
In a
Okay.
few trillion years, the cosmic gas will finally have run out. About 88% of the mass of every galaxy will be white dwarfs, 2% neutron stars and black holes, and about 10% gas giants and sad brown dwarf losers. White
Hey.
dwarfs are the corpses of old stars, not much bigger than Earth, but on average as massive as half our Sun, some even much more. This
Yeah.
makes them the third densest objects in the universe, after neutron stars and black holes. About 1 million times denser than the Sun today. Since they used to be active stars, their surface can be as hot as 150,000 degrees. White dwarfs are dim, hot, dense spheres that don't do anything anymore. But eventually, even white dwarfs will die because they're slowly losing their heat. It takes at least 10 trillion years, more than 700 times longer than the current age of the universe. As they do their cooling down, the universe around them will irreversibly grow dark, as more and more white dwarfs burn out and turn into dead husks, black dwarfs. Spheres of death, as cold as space itself, invisible against the dark backdrop. Over trillions and trillions of years, every object in every galaxy is eventually either ejected into the void or its orbit decays and it will fall into the central black hole and be destroyed. In about a quintillion years, all galaxies have evaporated and every object is on its own, in the center of its own observable universe, emptiness as far as can be seen in any direction, traveling through black nothingness. Still, there are things that will happen. Black holes are dying, slowly. They'll fizzle away by emitting Hawking radiation until they're so small that they...
This is also on the fact of thinking that everything has to start and everything has to finish. What if that's not even the case? Do you know what I mean? Like, not everything has to have a start and everyone has to have an end. But only the case in like life is that a thing, really. I suppose everything has a lifespan. Don't get me wrong. But just because we have that and things around us have that, does that mean that applies to the universe itself? That's my question.
They die in a final flash of light. This will take about a googol years, 10 to the power of 100 years, until the last supermassive black hole dies. A number so absurd, there's nothing to compare it to. Maybe some living beings could have survived around black holes, but even this science fiction option ends now. After this unsettling amount of time, we're not even close to the end. Now is the time of the black dwarfs. It turns out there's some weird physics going on inside the dead husk of stars. The weird physics of black dwarfs. A black dwarf is a sphere the size of Earth, as massive as a star, but almost as cold as absolute zero. Stars stay alive because of their intense heat in their cores. So why do black dwarfs not collapse into a black hole? What keeps them together? Deep inside a black dwarf, matter is squeezed to densities millions of times greater than anything we see on Earth. The pressure is so great that electrons can't combine with the nuclei to form atoms. Instead, matter is weird, degenerate. The nuclei are compressed by the weight of the star, locked into a rigid lattice, while the electrons form a plasma between them. And these electrons hold the star together. We're simplifying, but imagine matter as a subway train and electrons as passengers. If there are empty seats, passengers spread out because they care a lot about their personal space.
Yeah, of course.
But as a black dwarf is so incredibly dense, this is like squishing more and more passengers into our train. Gravity...
It's like the Japanese trains, bro. They just squeeze everyone in the last train.
is pushing in, trying to collapse it. The passengers are forced to sit and stand close together, which they hate. And so the passengers, our electrons, try to push out against gravity as hard as they can. This way, the electrons that are having a horrible time in the crowded train that's the black dwarf hold up the star. Everything else in the universe may have crumbled already, but these tiny particles push against each other until the end of time. Or they would, if quantum mechanics didn't ruin everything. Simplifying a lot.
Was that a banana with a butt?
Quantum mechanics didn't ruin everything.
Why does the banana have a butt?
Simplifying a lot. When particles get close enough, sometimes they can jump at each other and fuse together. A process called quantum tunneling.
Yeah.
This happens constantly.
Isn't quantum tunneling the thing they're thinking about could be involved in time travel?
In stars,
or am I
because of
crazy?
their intense heat. It's one of the key reasons stars can fuse elements into new ones. But it also happens at a temperature near absolute zero. Just, well, mind-numbingly slowly. This is the final step to creating the last interesting thing to ever happen in our universe. Here, in this lone black dwarf, something fantastic occurs.
Which is?
Nothing happens for 1 trillion years.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Can you imagine that? But then, a single fusion reaction. 2 carbon nuclei combined by quantum tunneling to become magnesium. Another 100 trillion years pass. It happens again. Then nothing for another bazillion years. Oh,
where's this getting to?
2 oxygen nuclei combine into silicon. As eons pass, the nuclei in the frozen black dwarf slowly combine, making new, heavier nuclei. And these take...
So it's just slowly regenerating itself. Is it fixing itself? What's going on here? Is it creating something new?
even longer to fuse, but given enough time, they eventually will. Remember the breathtaking amount of time it took for a supermassive black hole to evaporate?
Yeah.
That's a brief moment in comparison to what's going on here.
Okay.
The difference between a second and trillions of years.
Oh my god, look, zeros.
Over a time so absurd that it has no name, nuclei keep fusing into heavier elements. Until, when silicon nuclei fuse, they form nickel-56. Nickel-56 is radioactive, which means it's unstable. And when it eventually decays and turns into iron, it emits 2 positrons, antimatter electrons.
Okay, what I said.
And these 2 positrons find 2 electrons and annihilate them and themselves.
Oh, it's killing itself.
Remember how the uncomfortable
Yeah.
electrons reduce the pressure to hold the star together?
Man,
Destroying
for a second there, I
electron
faith.
means fewer friends to help them hold up the star.
Yeah.
Losing an electron does not give them more space to scratch their butts, it just makes gravity squeeze harder, the walls closing in on those that remain. In
Oh,
the case of the most massive
Makes it
black
smaller?
dwarfs, this is catastrophic. Bit by bit, the black dwarf turns into a sphere of iron and more electrons are annihilated. For at least 10 to the power of 1,000 years, almost but not quite forever, there's no visible change in the entire universe. And then, finally, the last thing to ever happen happens.
what's
The
that?
black dwarf has lost one too many electrons.
Oh
It
yeah,
can
it
no
would
longer
just,
support
it would just
the
no longer
immense mass
exist.
and goes into an uncontrolled collapse, a supernova. It first implodes and then
Oh.
explodes as bright as a galaxy and fills the empty universe with light again.
Like a big bang.
A
Ooh.
beautiful moment nobody will get to enjoy. And
Or
then as quickly
will
as it
they?
began, it's all over. Darkness again. Emptiness.
Or is that the case?
That was the last thing that will ever happen.
Was
The
it
universe
though?
may now be truly dead.
Is
But
it
don't be
though?
mad about it. This
Oh, okay,
is so
maybe.
far away in the future that forever
We won't see
hardly
it.
describes it. Today,
I
the
don't know.
universe is the best place it could be for us. And you can sleep tight tonight, knowing the last interesting thing that will ever happen is forever long away.
Damn, that's crazy. I'd
For
like
now-
to still have hope and believe that that star that will blow up will be the occasional Big Bang that will then reinvigorate the universe, and we're like a blueprint. The universe is a blueprint that, with all of that goodness that comes out of that final star, it will recreate the universe once again, and we're in an endless loop and an endless cycle. And we've already been here once, or maybe 75,000 times before, but we just don't know that because we take the long way around. That is my theory. Okay, that's my last of my theories. Sorry if I've annoyed you with my theories. But anyway, that was the end of the video. Make sure you check out their stuff. They look like they've got a Black Friday deal going on with 50% off. So use code Quasquazar, whatever that says, SAGT or whatever that says. But anyway, that was a good video. Make sure you check out the original description down below. I will see you in the next one. Laters.